marketing for Taradel here. And so we're just getting into live streaming. We think it's a great way to get information out there, and most importantly, interact with our customers, supporters, and really the business community at large. So we're going to start a series called Business for Breakfast, where every day we'll cover one or two topics that are relevant to business, marketing, sales, or things of that nature, where you can start your day with some information that will help you have a better day business-wise. So today's topic comes up all the time when we're interacting with customers. The question is, what are direct mail response rates? What are the average response rates that I can use when budgeting or planning a campaign? So we're going to talk about two different scenarios. Direct mail, first of all, is an extremely powerful way to reach out to new prospects and generate actual sales transactions. Digital is great. Don't get me wrong. We're big supporters of digital, obviously, here on YouTube Live. But when it comes to small business owners in particular that need to drive actual sales, customers that transact with them, nothing works better than direct mail. It has much better conversion rates than every digital channel combined in terms of sales. So I think a lot of that is because it's a one-to-one experience. So if you're doing marketing online, typically the recipient or the audience you're targeting, they're online. They've got access to not only your products and services, but every one of your competitors at the same time. A good example is Google AdWords, right? So if you put an ad up for lawn care services and somebody locally searches for that type of service, maybe they type in Google Richmond, Virginia lawn care, right? Not only are your ads going to hopefully show up, but maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even a dozen of your competitors are going to show up either in the AdWords results or the organic results. So right away, even if you can get in front of that prospect, they've got all these different options. So with that kind of built-in competition, the percentage, the likelihood that you can capture that sales lead and convert them into a paying customer, those percentages go down and down and down and down. But with direct mail, if you mail out a landscaping postcard, when the person gets home from work or whatever they're doing that day and looks at their mail, they're going to see your offer. There's no competitors built in, and that's a very powerful thing. So if they don't want to mow their lawn this weekend because they want to spend time with their kids or do something else, they're going to say, you know what, this is easy. He's local. I can probably trust it because they're spending money to put it in the mail. So they're probably legit. And it's just very simple, right? They'll probably stick this on the refrigerator or put it on the kitchen counter. And when they're ready to transact, you're going to get that call, or at least you'll be more likely to. So direct mail is extremely effective, but one of the big challenges that direct mail users have is, forecasting. If I spend $2,000 or $3,000 in terms of investment into direct mail marketing, what's my return going to look like? Can that math work in terms of how many calls am I going to get? How many of those calls can I turn into customers? And then ultimately, what's the average ticket size for each sale, right? So if I spend $2,000 and my average ticket is $100, you have to do the math and say, hey, is this going to work for me? Does it make sense? So more often than not, direct mail generates a positive return on investment. It is true that the more often you make impressions on the prospective customer, the better your response rates will be. A good example is, insurance and credit card companies, right? Probably a week or maybe even a day doesn't go by where you don't get some type of insurance or credit card offer in the mail. Now, the first time you get those offers, you may just throw it in the trash or recycle it or something like that. But over time, that impression, whether you throw it in the trash or you open it up and call them and buy something right away, over time, those impressions make a big impact, whether you're conscious of that or not. So if you get an offer from Geico every day or every week for a year, and you buy a new car or something, and all of a sudden you need to get insurance, you're much more likely to think, hey, I should call Geico for insurance when that time comes. So with direct mail and really with any type of marketing, this is something I always say, in our blog post and other media. But when it comes to direct mail and really marketing in general, you've got to reach the right prospects at the right time with the right offer. If you do those three things, you're going to be set up for success. So with that said, let's talk about direct mail response rates. So there's two ways to approach direct mail. The first way is to use a saturation approach. A saturation approach is where you essentially target everybody within a geographic range, right? So let's say you have a product or service that has mass appeal. Maybe you're a pizza shop or a landscaper, right? So everybody loves pizza, and perhaps everybody with a yard, every homeowner could use your landscaping service. Well, in that type of situation, it probably makes a lot of sense to use a program like Everydoor Direct Mail. Everydoor Direct Mail is a way that takes all of the hassles and headaches out of the direct mail process, and basically lets you pick geographically where you want your mail offers to deliver. And then you basically just print them, set them up for delivery, and a week or two later they're in every single mailbox in a geographic area. So that's a really affordable and powerful way to outreach to everybody, right? Every mailbox in the neighborhoods that you serve. With that type of marketing, to essentially a prospect list, or folks that you think are highly targeted and highly likely to purchase from you, your average response rate with direct mail will be somewhere around 1% on average. Now, that is an average number. If you look at all industries as a whole and run the averages, it's about 1%. But again, if you're a pizza shop and you do, a buy one, get one free pizza offer, your response rates are going to go through the roof. And, if you do a buy one, get one half off type of pizza offer, your response rates will come down a little bit, but still be, in all likelihood, well over 1%. So if you look at the averages, the other thing you have to remember is that the offer is perhaps the most important piece of the puzzle in terms of what type of response rate you'll get. The more aggressive you are with your offers and the more value you add, the better you will do in terms of response rate and ultimately ROI. So it's important to keep that in mind. So that's kind of track one, right? Where you're going after a targeted prospect list, but it's mostly just based on geographic proximity to your business or the areas that you service. Track two is where you go after a house marketing list. So a house list is where you've got a list of your own prospects or customers. These are people that in some way, shape, or form in the past, kind of raised their hand and said, hey, I'm interested in what you do. A house list, since these are warm leads as opposed to cold leads, convert at much higher rates. So with a house list, you could expect anywhere from 3.5% to 4.25% response rates with direct mail. Again, these are people that you've already in some way pre-qualified because you've got them on your list. They've probably been to your website or worked with you in the past, or found you, by some method when they were searching for information. So with a house list, up to 4.25%, is within the average response rate. So that's really powerful stuff. The other piece here that we need to talk about is with direct mail. Not only is your audience really important, so who are you targeting? New prospects or your house list, but the offer, and then third is the actual size of the direct mail piece that you send out. So the general rule of thumb, and this kind of might be obvious, but the larger the direct mail piece, size-wise, the better response rate, you may get. So, for example, if you mail out one of these 4.25 by 11 postcards, which is certainly not a small piece, but it's still, fairly small, I guess, compared to other options. And then you mail out a giant 8.5 by 11 postcard, chances are this one will always outperform this one. So the reasons are pretty obvious here. With greater visibility, you're going to have a wider net, to capture people's attention and ultimately get a response. So you have to really balance, a couple things. One, in terms of your offer and your message that you need to get out there, how much real estate do you need? Do you need to show a lot of images? Do you need multiple coupons on your direct mail piece? Or do you just have a simple offer, for example, buy one, get one free pizza coupon? So you need to balance that, right? You don't want to cram everything into a small size just to save a few bucks, because when you do that, the whole message becomes diluted and people can't skim it for information quickly. And on the flip side, you don't want to do a giant postcard and not really have a lot of information or a point to it, right? So if you want to do a big postcard, make sure you've got some great offers on it. Make sure you've got powerful images and great sales copy that will support the theme of your campaign. So whichever one you choose, make sure you choose it because, one, it makes sense in terms of the overall message, and two, it works for the type of message or coupons that you need to send out there. Again, the larger the size, on average, the better your response rate will be. So with those basic kind of best practices, let me go over a few more data points. I'm going to pull them up right now so that you've got a little bit more information about direct mail response rates. So this information comes from the DMA. They do every year, it's the Data and Marketing Association. Every year they do a industry response rate reporting, and this is where that comes from. So direct mail response rates outperform digital channels by a long shot. Direct mail achieves a 3.7% response rate to 4.25% response rate with a house list, and a 1% response rate on average with a prospect list. So those are the numbers we just covered. But all digital channels combined only achieve a 0.62% response rate. So if you think about that, direct mail almost doubles the response rate of digital. So it's really powerful stuff. So keep that in mind. The cost per acquisition, so the cost to do a direct mail campaign and acquire a new customer, is very competitive. Direct mail stands at about $19 per acquisition, which is favorable compared to other channels. So, social media, for example, and mobile ads average about $18 per acquisition. But again, you may get less conversions overall because there's so much competition built in. Paid search like Google AdWords costs more than direct mail to acquire a new customer. That averages about $21 to $30. Internet display ads average about $41 to $50. And even email to a prospect list, like people that have raised their hand and said, hey, I'm interested, even that still costs about $15 per acquisition. So all things considered, if you look at all the channels in terms of response rates and cost per acquisition, direct mail comes out on top. The average return on investment for direct mail is 15 to 17%. So that is huge. So, if you invest $100 into direct mail advertising, you'll get, 15 to 17% return on that, which is really, really healthy. And then a couple other quick facts is that per year, there's about 2.5 billion direct mail coupons redeemed. There are 10.6 million catalogs mailed. Catalogs are making a big comeback. Everyone from Toys R Us to JCPenney is back in the catalog business, especially around the holiday season. Advertisers and small business owners, this includes everyone, national brands, the small business guys, everybody, spent about $9.4 billion on direct mail last year. And 66% of recipients actually read the direct mail they get. Others skim it, or put it off till later, but 66%, read the direct mail. Surprisingly, 63% of millennials made a purchase from direct mail within 3 months. So if they got a direct mail offer and they read it, on average, millennials make a purchase from those direct mail offers within 3 months. So that's really impressive because millennials are extremely tech savvy and use digital resources and channels for nearly everything. Millennials are also far more likely than non-millennials to read and engage with direct mail. So I think that harkens back to the power of this one-to-one marketing channel that direct mail provides. When you're used to seeing 5,000 things online or tons of ads on social media while you're using Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, when you get something in your mailbox that's physical and you can interact with it and touch it and feel it, especially if your whole life is kind of online in terms of looking for information, that makes a big impact. It's different and it just cuts right to the point. So it's interesting to see that the first real all digital generation, right? Direct mail has such strong influence over them. Direct mail is effective at driving both online and brick and mortar sales. So whether you have a e-commerce startup or a retail store in your local community, direct mail can help you drive traffic and sales to either one of those. And then one last bullet point is that 68% of 45 to 64-year-olds prefer direct mail over other forms of marketing. So the middle-aged to older folks in your community or in the markets that you serve, they prefer overwhelmingly to receive direct mail as opposed to emails and things like that. So those are some basics on direct mail response rates. I hope this has been very helpful. Tomorrow we're going to do a new topic, and we'll have another business for breakfast session. So if you're new to this YouTube live stream, during our live stream, you can submit questions right in the live chat, and I will answer them, or whoever's doing the live stream will answer them for you. And we can interact that way. And it should be a lot of fun and help you have a great day and be successful with your business. So thank you again. This is a lot of fun to do, and we'll see you soon.